Once upon a time, in a land far, far away, there lived a kind and gentle girl named Cinderella. She wasn't born into hardship. In fact, her early life was filled with joy. She had a loving mother and father who cherished her more than anything in the world. But life doesn't always stay perfect, and when Cinderella's mother became very ill, the joy in their home started to fade. Before her mother passed, she gave Cinderella one important piece of advice: to always be kind and courageous, no matter what happens. Cinderella took her mother's words to heart. Even as a child, she knew that kindness could light up even the darkest of times. After a while, her father remarried a woman who had two daughters of her own. These stepsisters were not kind at all. They were jealous, proud, and spoiled. They looked down on Cinderella and treated her like a servant. And sadly, when her father passed away soon after, Cinderella was left all alone, trapped in a home that no longer felt like hers. Every day, Cinderella would rise before the sun to clean, cook, sweep, and wash. She was given a tiny room in the attic with nothing but a straw bed, while her stepsisters had the finest clothes and softest cushions. Even though they were cruel to her, Cinderella never complained. She sang to the birds, made friends with the mice, and always wore a smile. Her spirit stayed gentle and bright. Her only dresses were patched and faded, and since she often sat by the fireplace to stay warm, ashes would stick to her skin. That's how she got her nickname, Cinderella. But despite their teasing, she never gave in to anger or bitterness. You see, there was something magical about her heart. It sparkled with hope, even when things seemed hopeless. Cinderella believed, deep down, that one day things would change. She didn't know how or when, but she held on to her mother's advice: always be kind and courageous. Now, in that same kingdom, the royal palace was buzzing with excitement. The king had decided it was time for his son, the prince, to find a bride. So, a royal ball was announced, and every young maiden in the land was invited. The prince would meet them all, and perhaps fall in love. Cinderella's stepsisters were overjoyed. They squealed with excitement, dreaming of marrying the prince and becoming a princess. They spent hours getting ready, trying on gowns, and practicing how to curtsy. Cinderella quietly asked, "May I go too?" Her stepmother laughed coldly. "You," she sneered, "a girl in rags like you could never attend a royal ball." But Cinderella didn't give up. She worked even harder, helping her stepsisters prepare, still hoping she might have a chance. When the big night arrived, her stepmother gave her an impossible task. She could only go if she finished all the chores and found something suitable to wear. As the carriage pulled away without her, Cinderella sat in the garden, tears rolling down her cheeks, wishing with all her heart that she could go. Just then, something truly magical happened. A warm light shimmered in the air, and a gentle voice spoke. "Why are you crying, dear child?" Cinderella looked up and saw a woman unlike anyone she'd ever seen. Dressed in glowing robes and holding a sparkling wand, the woman smiled kindly. "I'm your fairy godmother," she said, "and I think it's time your wish came true." With a flick of her wand, she turned a pumpkin into a golden carriage, 6 mice into horses, and Cinderella's torn dress into the most dazzling gown ever seen. Glass slippers appeared on her feet, shimmering like stars. Cinderella gasped in awe. But remember, her fairy godmother warned, this magic only lasts until midnight. At the stroke of 12, everything will return to how it was. Cinderella nodded, her heart racing with joy. She had never felt so beautiful or so full of hope. As the carriage rolled away, her eyes sparkled with wonder. For one night, at least, she would be part of a world where dreams really did come true. When Cinderella arrived at the palace, everyone stopped and stared. They had never seen someone so graceful and elegant. Even her stepsisters didn't recognize her. The prince, who had been rather bored by the parade of other guests, was completely enchanted. He walked straight to Cinderella and asked her to dance. As music filled the ballroom, the two of them twirled under the lights, laughing and smiling like they'd known each other forever. The prince couldn't take his eyes off her. He didn't even ask her name. He was too busy falling in love. Cinderella felt like she was living inside a dream. All the pain, the chores, the loneliness, it all melted away as she danced in his arms. But time flew faster than she realized. Before she knew it, the clock struck 12. With a gasp, Cinderella pulled away and ran, her gown starting to fade, and her carriage waiting to vanish. She didn't even look back. In her rush, one of her glass slippers slipped off and was left behind on the grand staircase. The next morning, the entire kingdom was talking about the mysterious girl at the ball. The prince was heartbroken that she had disappeared without a name. All he had was the glass slipper. So, he made a bold decision. He would search the kingdom and try the slipper on every girl until he found the one it fit. His royal messengers went from village to village, trying the slipper on every young lady, but it fit none. When they finally arrived at Cinderella's home, her stepsisters pushed to the front, each desperate to prove the slipper was theirs. They squeezed and shoved, but no matter how hard they tried, their feet didn't fit. Cinderella watched quietly from the kitchen. She wasn't even considered. But just as the servants were about to leave, one of them asked if there was anyone else in the house. The stepmother tried to lie, but Cinderella stepped forward. "May I try it on?" she asked softly. Everyone turned in shock. The servant knelt and gently slid the slipper onto Cinderella's foot. It fit perfectly, and in that moment, something incredible happened. Cinderella stood tall, her eyes glowing, and the prince's messenger recognized her at once. He bowed deeply. "This is the girl," he said. "The prince must meet her again." The stepmother and stepsisters could hardly believe it. Their eyes widened, and their mouths dropped open in disbelief. Cinderella was escorted to the palace in a grand carriage, not as a servant, but as someone special. When the prince saw her, his face lit up. "It's you," he whispered. "I knew I'd find you." And in front of the entire court, he asked Cinderella to marry him. She didn't need to think twice. With a joyful heart, she said yes. Their wedding was the grandest the kingdom had ever seen. Cinderella's kind spirit had won the prince's heart, and her story became one of hope and magic for all. But the story doesn't end with the wedding. Cinderella became a queen who ruled with grace and compassion. She never forgot what it was like to be treated unfairly, so she made sure her kingdom was a place where everyone was valued, no matter their clothes or where they came from. Her stepsisters, well, they learned an important lesson. Cinderella forgave them, and they were given a chance to start over. Even the stepmother, though she had to face the consequences of her cruelty, was not cast away forever. Cinderella believed in second chances and in turning pain into purpose. She continued to be kind, just as her mother taught her, and she reminded children across the land that dreams can come true if you stay brave and kind-hearted. And so, the tale of Cinderella was told again and again, not just because of the ball or the magic, but because of the goodness that made her truly shine. So, what can we learn from Cinderella's story, friends? It's not just about glass slippers or fancy dresses. It's about hope, kindness, and never giving up, even when things seem impossible. Cinderella teaches us that no matter how small or unimportant you may feel, your heart has great power. Being kind doesn't mean letting people treat you badly, but it does mean holding onto goodness in a world that sometimes forgets it. Whether you're cleaning the house, dreaming big dreams, or just trying to do your best, remember Cinderella's story. It's not magic that made her special. It was her courage, her kindness, and her belief in something better. And guess what? You have that magic too, right inside your heart. And now, dear listener, as you drift off to sleep or snuggle into your pillow, remember this: every great story starts with someone just like you. So always believe in your dreams, treat others with love, and stay strong no matter what. Because one day, your very own fairy tale might come true too.